There's a house in America where 8 people went to sleep, and by sunrise, every single one of them was dead. No one heard a scream. No one saw a stranger fleeing the property. The doors were not broken. The windows were intact. The locks were untouched, which leads to a thought more terrifying than a forced entry. What if the killer was already inside? And when Josiah Moore turned the key that night, he unknowingly sealed his family's fate. More than a century later, we still don't know who did it. In 1912, Villisca, Iowa represented American innocence. A small railroad town, church on Sundays, children running barefoot through dusty streets, neighbors who didn't just know each other's names, they trusted them. People didn't lock their doors because danger didn't exist here. Until June 9th, that Sunday felt ordinary. Too ordinary. And sometimes, ordinary is the perfect disguise for something evil. Josiah Moore was respected, hardworking, dependable, a man who believed his home was safe. His wife, Sarah, was known for her warmth and devotion. Their children, Herman, Mary, Arthur, and little Paul, filled the house with life. Paul was only 5 years old. That evening, after attending the Children's Day service at church, 2 young sisters, Ina and Lena Stillinger, were invited to stay the night. It was meant to be harmless. A childhood memory. Laughter echoed through the house. Whispers in the dark. Excitement about tomorrow. At around 9:45 p.m., they returned home. Oil lamps glowing softly. Children changing into night clothes. Josiah likely checking the doors. Sarah kissing each child goodnight. By 10:30 p.m., the house was silent. The town asleep, but someone was awake. Sometime after midnight, the Moore house was no longer empty. There were no signs of forced entry, no broken glass, no damaged locks, which leaves 2 possibilities. The door was unlocked, or the killer had been inside all along. The weapon used was an axe taken from the family's own shed. He didn't bring a weapon. He chose theirs. That detail matters because it suggests planning, comfort, time. When investigators examined the scene, they discovered something chilling. The blunt side of the axe, not the blade, appeared to have been used. This wasn't frantic violence. It was controlled, deliberate, almost methodical. The killer moved upstairs first, to the parents' bedroom. He did not wake the rest of the house. He did not rush. Then he entered the room where 6 children slept. 6 futures, 6 innocent lives, gone in silence. But what happened next may be even more disturbing than the attack itself. The killer didn't flee immediately. Evidence suggested he remained inside for hours. Mirrors were covered. Windows were draped. Why cover the mirrors? Was he afraid of seeing himself, or did he not want to be seen? In the kitchen, investigators found a plate with uneaten food, including raw bacon. Some believe he may have eaten. Others believe he simply sat there, in the dark, in silence, in the same house, waiting. This wasn't chaos. This was composure. But perhaps the most disturbing part of the Villisca case isn't just the violence that occurred inside that house. It's the silence that followed. Because after the crime was committed, the killer didn't panic. He didn't run. Evidence suggests he remained inside the Moore home for hours, walking through the same hallways, standing in the same rooms where the family had lived their everyday lives, waiting, listening, thinking. And the question that has haunted this case for more than a century is simple. Why stay? Why risk being discovered? Why remain inside the house after everything was already done? Because most killers run. They escape. They disappear. But the man who walked into the Moore home that night didn't seem afraid of the morning, which raises a chilling thought. This may not have been his first time. Around 7 a.m., neighbor Mary Peckham noticed something was wrong. The Moore family hadn't come outside. The animals were unattended. The house felt wrong, too still. She approached, knocked, no answer. Eventually, she entered. What she found would shake not just Villisca, but the entire nation. Because this wasn't Chicago. This wasn't New York. This was a peaceful Midwestern town. And if something like this could happen here, it could happen anywhere. Investigators searched desperately for answers. But 1912 was a different era. No DNA, no advanced forensics, no crime scene protocol like today. Reverend George Kelly confessed, then recanted. His story shifted. He was acquitted. Another name surfaced later, William Mansfield. Some theorists believe he may have been connected to similar axe murders elsewhere. A pattern, a possibility, but nothing conclusive, no fingerprints, no definitive proof. The investigation dissolved into rumor and speculation. Business rivalry, religious obsession, serial killer theory, but no conviction. Which leaves us with a darker truth. The killer was never caught, which means he may have lived freely afterward. He may have married, raised children, smiled at neighbors, attended church, and died peacefully while carrying one of America's darkest secrets, undetected, unpunished, unknown. Some mysteries fade with time. Others grow darker. The Villisca Axe Murders remain one of America's most haunting unsolved crimes. Not only because of what happened that night, but because no one was ever truly held accountable. No final name, no final answer. And somewhere, in the quiet shadows of American history, a killer walked away. Perhaps he lived a normal life. Perhaps he stood among ordinary people. Perhaps he was never even suspected. And over time, the truth dissolved into silence. But the questions remain. And perhaps they always will. You've just stepped into another file. Another mystery history refused to close. This is the Dark Files, where every story hides a darker truth. If real unsolved mysteries like this fascinate you, make sure you subscribe. And before you leave, tell us in the comments. Do you believe this was a calculated serial killer? A personal act of revenge? Or something even more disturbing? Because here at the Dark Files, we don't just tell stories. We uncover the shadows history tried to bury. And once you step into the dark, there's no turning back.